Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so another day, we got another project. So, we cut most of the car, the back of the car apart a while back to save weight and make space for stuff. But there's a problem, there's no firewall back here. So from the factory, there's a lot of sheet metal that fills this area, actually takes up a lot of this space. But it gives you like a firewall, so we need to restore that. So we've already designed some of the parts, now we got to get them installed, and it's a little bit of work, but I think it's going to go okay. So for the floor area, you can see this panel. This panel goes into this area. It's kind of obvious how that would go. The round corners go to the front, no big deal. However, I kind of messed up a little bit. My intention was to have that panel overhang this and then drill and tap into this and just run a bolt directly into this. Unfortunately, I made this a little too short. Now I could remake the whole thing, but I decided not to. So what we're going to do instead, as you can see, I've got some marks going around and I started drilling these holes. So I'm just popping 1/4 inch holes every so often around the panel. And anyway, we're going to finish doing that. It's going to be a little tricky, but essentially we're going to put the panel where it goes. And I may have to drop the damn diff back out of the car. That's a little annoying, but we'll see. But I'm going to weld tabs to the frame that like poke out this way in the right spot. Or approximately the right spot. I think what I'm going to do is get the tabs welded in. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know, it's kind of tricky. There's a couple ways you could do this. One way, for example, would be to take the tabs, weld them, try to get them like flush with the frame, like flush this way. Maybe use like a piece of metal or a magnet or something. Get the tabs welded in the right location, then set the sheet metal on top. So the sheet metal will have the holes drilled. As you can see, we're in the process of that. So the sheet metal would have the holes. And then you could just take a Sharpie and basically mark on the tab where the hole needs to be, pull the sheet metal out, and then go in there and drill and tap the hole for the bolts to go into. I may do it that way. The benefit of doing it that way, say the tab is like 1 inch wide, then as long as I get the tab close, the hole will land somewhere on the tab and I can drill and tap. The downside is, when you drill the hole, if you drill it like crooked or you don't drill it in the right spot, then the hole's not going to line up to put the bolt in. Which isn't that hard to fix, just drill this hole bigger and then it'll go. Worst case, you'd have to use washers. However, when you do that, you need the tabs to be level. One thing I could do is go ahead and make the tabs approximately the right distance, bolt them up to the panel, set the panel in place, and at that point, instead of the tabs holding the panel would hold the tabs, and then hopefully hold the tab close to the frame and then reach up there and weld it. The downside to that is I can't weld from the top because the panel would be in the way. But the benefit of that is if you did get them in welded, the placement should be really good. So anyway, what sounds easier is to weld the tabs first and then set the panel on and drill the holes afterwards. What I like about that is I get rid of distortion due to welding, because when you weld stuff, things tend to move due to like thermal expansion and stuff. So I think we're going to do it that way. We're just going to go ahead and get the tabs welded first, and then we'll do the drilling afterwards. Also, if I do it that way, I can likely avoid not having to pull the diff out of the car, which is a big pro because I've already put some of this stuff together. So I'd rather not. And I've already had to drop this thing once for something else, so I'm not trying to see how many times I can do that. Although you got to admit, before I cover this up, that diff looks awesome back here. So anyway, we're going to get back to it, get these holes drilled, I guess we got to drill the holes, put the panel up there, make sure that looks okay, and then we got to start building our tabs. So anyway, get back to it. Okay, so we got the holes drilled. I thought I'd show you guys something. So we just drilled the holes with a 1/4 inch drill bit, pretty standard stuff. And I always throw a board under here, and you can see the little holes that I nibbed as I went through the sheet metal. What that does if you don't do that, like if you just have the metal hanging, is the bit kind of like threads the hole towards the bottom, and it can tear the metal and cause all kinds of problems. So that having a piece of wood under it helps prevent that. In fact, if you have one on the top and the bottom, or a piece of steel on the top, that works even better. But this worked pretty well. But I want to show you, even though it wasn't that bad, you can tell these holes don't look perfect. So what I'm going to do, hopefully this works since we're filming it, I've got this step drill bit. This is like a $50 or $60 bit, unfortunately. They're expensive for a good one. But what's nice is they kind of do a good job, and they kind of clean and like chamfer everything. So I'll try to show you guys what this does, because it should make this look better. That definitely looks better. I ain't saying it's perfect, but it's definitely better. So we're gonna go around and do that, get the holes cleaned up a little bit, and deburred, and then we'll toss it up there. All right, check it out. So we're in work, in progress. We got 3 tabs installed and 1 in progress. So here's how we're doing it. So I just have a flat piece of flat bar, just a piece of flat bar 3/4 steel, and all I did was take magnets to hold it up, and it basically creates like a straight edge. And let's see if we zoom in, you'll see I put a mark. So these marks, as you can see, this is where we're going to put bolts. So I basically threw that flat plate that's over there, threw it in position, marked it on the car, and by clamping this piece, or by holding this with magnets, I can clamp my tab to the bottom, and it gets the top of the tab flush with the car, pretty much, as you can see. So once that's in place, I'm reaching in with a MIG welder and welding the underside. It's kind of ugly that was getting the welder set up. None of these are really pretty because I'm welding upside down and I can't see it. But it's just a tab, it's plenty good enough. So that's in place, and we just reach in there and MIG it on the bottom best we can, take the clamp out. I've been putting, I didn't really do it on that one, but like over here, I've also been putting a few on the top and grinding them down just to give it some extra strength. So we're just gonna go around putting our tabs in and grinding them down, and once that's done, we can pop the cover on, mark the holes, and we can drill and tap. Okay, well that took a little work, but we got some tabs in here. Got a, whatever that is, 10 I think. So they look pretty good, happy with that. Now we're gonna get our panel, get it positioned, and get all these holes marked so we can start our drill and tap procedure so we can bolt this sucker in. But right now it's looking good. All right, check it out. So we just did our drill and tap. We tried to put the bolts in. We were 9 out of 10. One bolt, I got the hole too crooked and it wouldn't line up. But that's actually pretty good. So I was happy with that. We drilled it a touch more and there she went. We used 1/4 bolts with a 3/16 hex drive, so it's pretty easy to remove and install. And now she's bolted in. Got 10 bolts, real nice. And we don't know for sure what this area is going to be used for yet. It has to be a firewall, just for the rules. But we may very well locate some electronic devices or something like that back here. Maybe some fuses or 17-volt system. Not really sure. But now we have that nice area and it's bolted in and secure. So the next one is the part that curves across that builds the back wall. That's kind of the floor we put in. Now we got to build the wall. We have a piece of metal for that somewhere. And that one's going to take a little more work to get it to fit. But that's our next project. So here we go. All right, check this out. Took some work. Not my best work, but it actually looks all right. Here's a view from the front. So we got these bolts, 1/4-inch socket head cap screws going across the top, and we got one on the bottom that ties those two together. So it keeps that gap pretty closed up. Pretty happy with it. The only downside, I did not do captured nuts on any of this back panel. I wanted to, but it would have been way too much work. Let me show you why. So if you come here, see how that nut's like really close? Like maybe this could be tack welded in here or something, but I didn't have enough room to get my rivet nut tool. This was just too thin, and I had the same problem. Well, okay, basically it was that top edge, but it wasn't easy to do. So we just used a regular nut. But I shouldn't be taking this apart very often, but I'd still rather make it easy to service in the future. But couldn't really pull it off here, so we chose to just bolt it together. Made it go a little quicker. So very nice, we got that done. We've been needing to do that for a long time and I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but that actually turned out great. So pretty happy with this. As you can see, that's how she looks. So anyway, time for the next one. All right guys, check this out. So we got the e-brake bolted back in right there, and we got our shifter put in. So this is the one we used to run. It's a B&M Pro Ratchet, so it's a ratcheting shifter. And I've got it, so if you can see here, like here's the steering wheel, there's the shifter. So basically pretty close. I wish this was a tiny bit lower. We'd have to cut this to shorten it. I'll look, maybe they sell that already, they probably do, but it's not bad the way it is. If I'll try to show you the height difference. Like I guess this is pretty much close to here, so it's like a straight shot, but naturally it feels like I should go down a little bit. But maybe that's a better movement, I don't know. But that's how it is. But yeah, fucking awesome. Check this out. So that's let's see which gear is that. That's probably, that's third. There's a little marker here, it's just not installed, but you just hit it and it changes gear. So like that would be first. So if we were racing, you know, first, and then just boom, second, boom, third. So pretty cool. Anyway, and it's got a lockout. So like right here, you're in neutral. It won't let you go to reverse. You have to flip that. Then you can do reverse. Then you can do park. So very cool. Love that shifter. Totally worth it. But yep, look at this. Starting to feel like a race car. I can sit down in the seat. I've got a steering column. I got a steering wheel. I got an e-brake and a shifter. And I can bolt the roof on the car now. It's just unbolted. Oh yeah, and then on top of that, if we flip around back here, we got our rear firewall put in. So I know we talked about all this stuff, but it's starting to feel like a car. So cool stuff. So I'm not actually sure what's next. I gotta go look at my list. So that sheet metal in the back I'd forgot to put on the list. We got that knocked out. Kind of feels like we need to do some gauge stuff, you know, start figuring that out. So just from sitting here, I know that if you're racing, I'm either going to be looking slightly this way to see the tree or slightly that way to see the tree. Just depends if you're in the left lane or right lane. Now obviously if you're racing, you should always be looking straight once you take off. So I'm thinking I want the tachometer, I'll be looking at the tach when I'm racing, so I probably want the tach dead ahead. So I'll probably put the tach literally right in front of the steering wheel, you know, right here. And then pretty much all the other gauges you're not going to look at when you're racing. You're going way too fast to be looking at gauges. So the rest of that stuff, it's more of like, hey, I'm about to race, let me glance at my gauges, or, you know, stuff like that. You can't really look at gauges when you're racing, not in drag racing. So they'll go somewhere, but yeah, I think the tach's going to go right there in the front. So anyway, guess I'll quit rambling. Just happy to have the starting to feel like a race car again, or feel like a car again. Actually, it didn't even feel like a car before with all this stuff missing. So pretty exciting. Very happy to get the shifter in here. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this one up. Till next time, y'all take it easy.